Have you ever wondered why certain numbers seem to pulse through the fabric of existence with mysterious significance? What if I told you that embedded within the very architecture of reality and within your own being lies a sacred code so profound, so fundamental, that once recognized, it unlocks the doorway to your deepest awakening? This is not numerology or superstition. This is the recognition of a divine pattern that governs everything from the spiral of galaxies to the rhythm of your heartbeat. Look around you with fresh eyes. 4 seasons cycle eternally. 4 directions anchor space. 4 elements compose all matter. 4 chambers beat within your heart. The ancients knew this. The mystics whispered it. And now, in this moment of remembering, you are about to reclaim it. The oracle speaks. What appears as chaos is actually sacred geometry. What seems random is divine design. The blueprint of creation has always been hiding in plain sight, written in the language of 4. But why has this pattern been forgotten? Why do we live as if we're separate from the very code that created us? The answer lies in our conditioning. We've been taught to see fragments where wholeness exists, to perceive parts where unity reigns. We've forgotten that we are not observers of the pattern. We are living expressions of it. Think about this. Your life unfolds in 4 stages: childhood, youth, adulthood, elderhood. Your sleep cycles through 4 states: beta, alpha, theta, delta. Your body contains 4 elemental forces: earth, water, fire, air. Even science, reluctant to acknowledge the sacred, cannot escape this truth. 4 states of matter, 4 fundamental forces, 4 DNA base pairs holding the instructions for life itself. The challenger questions, is this mere coincidence, or are you beginning to sense the fingerprint of something far more intelligent, far more purposeful than random chance? This sacred code of 4 is not just around you, it is you. Your physical body grounds you like earth. Your emotions flow like water. Your thoughts burn like fire. Your spirit moves like air. When these 4 are aligned, you become unstoppable. When they're fragmented, you feel lost, incomplete, searching for something you can't name. What if every moment of confusion, every experience of disconnection, every feeling of being stuck in patterns you don't understand, stems from forgetting this fundamental truth? What if your path to freedom, to purpose, to the recognition of your divine nature lies not in acquiring something new, but in remembering what has always been present? The pattern is calling you home, not to a place, but to a recognition. Not to become something other than what you are, but to remember what you've always been. A perfect expression of the sacred code, a living mandala of divine intelligence, a unique note in the cosmic symphony of 4. Close your eyes for a moment and feel into the space of your own existence. You are not a single, simple entity, but a magnificent convergence of 4 distinct yet interconnected dimensions. This is your first glimpse into the temple of the self, a sacred architecture built according to the divine blueprint. The mentor guides. To awaken to your true nature, you must first recognize the 4 chambers of your being, each one a gateway, each one a mirror, each one essential to your wholeness. Feel your physical body, your vessel of earth. This isn't merely flesh and bone, but a sacred anchor that allows spirit to walk in the material world. Your body holds memory, carries your lineage, and serves as the temple through which consciousness expresses itself in form. Without this earthly vessel, you could not touch, taste, move, or embrace. It is not a prison for your soul, but a precious instrument of experience. Now sense your emotional body, your ocean of water. Feel how emotions move through you like tides, carrying information, responding to the world with exquisite sensitivity. Your emotional nature is not weakness, but your capacity to feel the subtle currents of existence, to be moved by beauty, to love deeply, to sense what lies beneath surface appearances. When clear, it becomes a powerful compass guiding you toward truth. Notice your mental body, your fire of consciousness. This is where thoughts arise, beliefs take shape, and visions form. Your mental dimension doesn't just process reality, it participates in creating it. Every thought is a seed, every belief a blueprint, every visualization a prayer to the universe. When focused and aligned, your mental fire becomes a torch that illuminates possibility and forges new realities. Finally, sense your spiritual body, your breath of air. This is the most subtle yet most fundamental aspect of your being. It is your connection to the infinite, the part of you that remains unchanged through all experiences. It is the witness, the knower, the silent presence that observes your thoughts and emotions without being disturbed by them. This spiritual dimension is your direct link to the source of all existence. The skeptic interjects, but if we have these four bodies, why do most people feel incomplete, disconnected, or unbalanced? Why is there so much suffering if we're already whole? The answer lies in understanding that these four dimensions require conscious integration. Most people over-identify with one or two aspects while neglecting the others. Some live primarily from the mental body, drowning in thoughts and analysis, while disconnected from feeling and spirit. Others are overwhelmed by emotions without the grounding of the physical or the clarity of the mental. Still others seek spiritual experiences while abandoning responsibility for their earthly existence. True awakening occurs when all four dimensions are recognized, honored, and harmonized. This is what the ancient traditions meant by squaring the circle, bringing the dynamic flow of spirit into perfect balance with the stable foundation of matter. Consider how this pattern mirrors the deepest structures of existence. Your DNA, the very code that builds your physical form, is held together by four molecular bases: adenine, thymine, cytosine, and guanine. These aren't just chemicals, they're expressions of the four elements. Adenine carries the earth frequency of structure, thymine, the water frequency of flow, cytosine, the fire frequency of transformation, and guanine, the air frequency of connection to the infinite. This means your cellular structure is literally built according to the sacred code. Your body is not separate from cosmic intelligence, but is cosmic intelligence expressing itself through the language of four. When you align consciously with this pattern, you begin to work with rather than against the fundamental forces that sustain your existence. The oracle reveals, your four bodies are not burdens to carry, but instruments to master. When earth, water, fire, and air unite within you in conscious harmony, you become a living temple, a walking prayer, a perfect mirror of cosmic design. One of the most profound illusions keeping humanity trapped in limitation is the belief in linear time. The idea that past, present, and future exist as fixed, separate realities strung together like beads on a thread. But this is perhaps the greatest deception ever imposed upon consciousness, for time is not what it appears to be. The oracle proclaims, time is not a river you drift upon, but a field you navigate. You are not a prisoner of temporal sequence, but the conductor of your own temporal symphony. To understand this truth, we must recognize that time itself operates according to the sacred code of four. There are four dimensions of temporal experience, and mastering them is the key to genuine freedom and conscious creation. The first dimension is what we call the past, but this is not the past as you've been taught to understand it. The past is not a collection of fixed events stored somewhere behind you. The past is a vibrational field that exists now, within your current consciousness. Every unhealed wound, every limiting belief, every repeated pattern exists as an energetic frequency in your present moment awareness. The mentor explains, You are not remembering the past, you are transmitting it. Until you clear these frequencies, you will continue to create similar experiences, not because you're stuck in time, but because you're stuck in vibration. This revelation is both challenging and liberating. It means that past trauma, childhood programming, and ancestral patterns are not permanent fixtures you must endure. They are frequencies you can transform through conscious awareness and spiritual practice. When you change your relationship to the past itself begins to shift energetically, releasing its hold on your present experience. The second dimension is the present moment, your throne of power. This is the only point where actual change can occur, where new realities can be birthed, where the sacred code can be accessed and applied. But true presence is not just being in the current moment, it's being so fully aware, so completely here, that you transcend the illusion of time altogether. The challenger asks, if the present moment is our point of power, why do so many people feel powerless even when they're trying to be present? The answer is that most people are not truly present. They are reliving the past or rehearsing the future while believing they're in the now. True presence is a state of such complete awareness that you become the still point around which all change revolves. In this state, manifestation accelerates, intuition sharpens, and the boundaries between desire and reality begin to dissolve. The third dimension is the future, but not as destiny or predetermined fate. The future is a field of infinite possibilities, all existing simultaneously in the quantum realm of potential. The future you experience is simply the timeline that matches your current vibrational frequency, your beliefs, your expectations, and your emotional state. This means you are not predicting the future, you are choosing it. Every thought, every feeling, every decision is a vote for which timeline you will experience. Fear votes for limitation, trust votes for expansion, love votes for harmony, and doubt votes for delay. Understanding this transforms you from a victim of circumstance into a conscious creator of your own experience. The fourth dimension is timelessness, the eternal now that underlies and transcends all temporal experience. This is the realm accessed in deep meditation, mystical experiences, and moments of profound presence. In this state, healing can be instantaneous, manifestation immediate, and understanding complete. Time doesn't slow down or speed up. It reveals itself as the malleable, responsive field it has always been. The skeptic challenges, this sounds like wishful thinking. How can thoughts and feelings actually change past events or future outcomes? The answer lies in understanding that what we call past and future are not solid realities, but interpretations made by consciousness. When you change the observer, you change the observed. Quantum physics confirms this principle at the smallest scales, and spiritual practice reveals it at the largest. Your consciousness is not separate from the field of existence. It is the field of existence expressing itself through your unique perspective. Practically, this means you can heal the past by changing how you hold it emotionally and mentally. You can influence the future by aligning your inner state with your desired reality. And you can step into timelessness by cultivating such deep presence that the flow of temporal experience bends around your awareness. Ancient wisdom traditions encoded this understanding in their teachings about the wheel of time, the cycles of existence, and the eternal return. They knew that mastering time was not about controlling external events, but about understanding the consciousness that perceives and creates temporal experience. This is why spiritual practice often begins with meditation, the cultivation of present moment awareness that eventually leads to timeless realization. As you develop the ability to rest in the still point of pure consciousness, you begin to influence reality not through force or manipulation, but through alignment with the deeper patterns that govern all existence. Now we move from understanding to embodiment, from recognition to practical application. The sacred code of 4 is not merely a concept to contemplate, but a living reality to embody through conscious practice. These are not techniques to perform, but invitations to remember and align with your essential nature. Begin by sitting comfortably and placing one hand on your heart, one on your belly. This connects you immediately to the physical anchor of your being. Now we'll breathe through the 4 elements in sequence, awakening each dimension of your nature. Inhale slowly, visualizing energy rising from the earth beneath you, filling your body with stability, grounding, and strength. This is the breath of earth, connecting you to your physical vessel and your place in the material world. Feel your bones, your muscles, your connection to the planet that sustains your form. Hold the breath gently and sense it transforming into the element of water. Feel emotion and intuition flowing through your system, cleansing, purifying, creating space for new feelings to arise. Let any stuck emotions move and flow like a river finding its natural course. As you begin to exhale, visualize the breath becoming fire, the element of transformation and will. Feel your mental clarity increasing, your power to focus and create awakening. Let this fiery breath burn away confusion and illuminate your inner vision. Complete the exhale by releasing into air, the element of spirit and connection. Feel yourself expanding beyond the boundaries of your physical form, touching the infinite field of consciousness that is your true nature. Rest in this spaciousness before beginning the next cycle. The mentor guides. Practice this 4-fold breath daily, and you will begin to feel the integration of your 4 bodies. Earth grounds you, water flows through you, fire empowers you, and air expands you. This is the alchemy of conscious breathing. As you rest in the integration of the 4 elements, begin to inquire directly into the nature of your experience. Which of my 4 bodies has been neglected? Which element have I been avoiding or overemphasizing? Notice without judgment what arises. Perhaps you discover you've been living primarily in your mental body, analyzing and planning while disconnected from feeling and physical sensation. Or maybe you find you've been overwhelmed by emotions without the grounding of earth or the clarity of fire. Ask, what would it feel like to live from all 4 dimensions in harmony? What would change in my relationships, my work, my creative expression if I operated from this integrated wholeness? Now we work with the 4 dimensions of time. Sitting in present moment awareness, allow your consciousness to expand and encompass all temporal experience. First, gently invite any unresolved energy from your past to come into your awareness, not to relive or analyze, but to meet with compassion and understanding. Breathe love and acceptance toward any pain, fear, or limitation you've carried. Feel how this transforms the vibrational quality of the memory. The Oracle teaches the past is not fixed. When you change your relationship to what has been, you literally alter its impact on your present reality. This is not denial, but alchemy. Next, tune into the field of future possibilities. Rather than trying to predict or control outcomes, simply open to the vast potential that exists in the quantum field. Feel into the reality you wish to experience and notice how it feels in your body, your emotions, your energy field. Finally, allow both past and future to dissolve into the eternal present moment. Rest in the timeless awareness that contains all time, but is bound by none. From this space, intentions set themselves, actions arise naturally, and life flows with an intelligence beyond personal planning. The most advanced practice involves recognizing and disengaging from the limiting agreements that keep consciousness trapped in illusion. These are not evil forces, but simply outdated patterns of thought and belief that no longer serve your awakening. Begin by identifying where you've given your power away to systems, authorities, or beliefs that diminish your sovereign nature. This might include seeking external validation for your worth, believing you need permission to be yourself, accepting limitations as permanent reality, or fearing the judgment of others. The challenger asks, how do we distinguish between healthy social cooperation and disempowering submission to limiting systems? The answer lies in checking your inner authority. Does this belief, system, or relationship enhance your capacity to love, create, and serve? Does it honor your divine nature while respecting the divine nature in others? If so, it's aligned with truth. If it diminishes, controls, or separates, it's part of the matrix of illusion. Practice withdrawing your consent from limiting beliefs by stating, I no longer agree to experience myself as powerless, separate, or less than divine. I reclaim my sovereignty while honoring the sovereignty of all beings. Create a simple daily practice that keeps you connected to the sacred code throughout ordinary activities. This might include upon waking, acknowledging your four bodies, and setting an intention to operate from their integration. During meals, recognizing the earth element nourishing your physical form. In conversations, speaking from the integrated wisdom of all four dimensions. Before sleep, reviewing the day from the perspective of timeless awareness rather than linear achievement. The mentor reminds, the goal is not perfection, but conscious participation. Each moment you remember the sacred pattern, you strengthen your alignment with the cosmic intelligence that is your true nature. These practices are not separate from life, but woven into the fabric of daily existence. As you embody the code of four, you discover that spiritual practice is not something you add to your life, but something that transforms every aspect of living into a sacred expression of awakening consciousness. When you begin to live from conscious alignment with the sacred code of four, every aspect of your existence transforms. This is not about becoming someone different, but about expressing more fully who you have always been beneath the layers of conditioning and forgetting. The integration of this ancient wisdom into modern life requires both understanding and practice, both recognition and embodiment. Your relationships become profound opportunities to practice sacred integration. When you recognize that every person you encounter is also a fourfold being, earth, water, fire, and air, seeking their own path to wholeness, interaction becomes service rather than merely exchange. The mentor teaches, in every relationship, you are meeting four aspects of the other person and sharing four aspects of yourself. When consciousness is awake to this truth, conflict transforms into collaboration, misunderstanding into compassion. Consider how this awareness changes the way you approach difficulty in relationships. When someone triggers anger in you, instead of reacting from your wounded emotional body alone, you can respond from the integrated wisdom of all four dimensions. Your earth body provides grounding stability. Your water body allows you to feel the emotion without drowning in it. Your fire body offers clarity about appropriate action. And your air body maintains connection to the larger perspective of love. Similarly, when offering support to others, you can sense which of their four bodies needs attention. Someone stuck in mental loops might need grounding earth or emotional flow water. Someone overwhelmed by feelings might need the clarity of focused thought fire or the spaciousness of spiritual perspective air. Your professional life becomes a vehicle for expressing the sacred code through purposeful action. Whether you're teaching, healing, building, creating, or serving in any capacity, your work transforms from mere survival into spiritual practice. The oracle reveals, every task becomes sacred when performed from fourfold awareness. The earth element brings skill and dedication, water brings intuition and adaptability, fire brings vision and leadership, and air brings wisdom and connection to higher purpose. This doesn't necessarily mean changing careers, though for some it might. It means bringing the fullness of your awakened nature to whatever work you do. A person running a business from sacred integration operates with earth-grounded practicality, water-flowing adaptability, fire-clear vision, and air-connected service to the greater good. The creative impulse reveals itself as the sacred code seeking expression through your unique perspective. Whether through art, music, writing, gardening, cooking, or any form of creative activity, you become a conscious collaborator with cosmic intelligence. The four elements naturally flow through creative work. Earth provides the structure and skill, water brings the inspiration and emotional truth, fire offers the transformative vision, and air connects the creation to universal patterns of beauty and meaning. The skeptic questions, doesn't this make creativity overly complicated? What happened to simple, spontaneous expression? The truth is exactly the opposite. When you align with the sacred code, creativity becomes more spontaneous, not less. You're no longer fighting against the natural flow of cosmic intelligence, but cooperating with it. Ideas arise more easily, skills develop more quickly, and the gap between inspiration and manifestation closes. Your approach to physical, emotional, and mental health transforms when you understand your body as a sacred temple built according to divine blueprint. Illness often represents imbalance between the four elements, and healing involves restoring harmony rather than merely treating symptoms. Physical ailments may indicate disconnection from the earth element, lack of grounding, poor nutrition, insufficient connection to nature. Emotional disturbances might reflect blocked water flow, suppressed feelings, lack of creative expression, resistance to natural cycles. Mental confusion could signal scattered fire energy, unclear purpose, unfocused attention, conflicting beliefs. Spiritual emptiness often reveals limited air connection, separation from source, lack of meaning, absence of transcendent perspective. The challenger asks, does this mean we should abandon medical care in favor of elemental healing? Integration wisdom suggests using both approaches when needed. Modern medicine can provide crucial support for the physical body, while elemental awareness addresses the deeper patterns that contribute to illness. The goal is wholeness, and sometimes wholeness requires multiple approaches working in harmony. Your relationship with money and material resources reflects your understanding of the sacred code. Money becomes recognized as crystallized energy, a tool for expressing the four elements through material exchange. From Earth perspective, money provides security and the ability to care for physical needs. From water perspective, it enables flow, generosity, and emotional well-being. From fire perspective, it becomes fuel for manifesting visions and creating positive change. From air perspective, it's a means of serving the greater good and supporting spiritual evolution. When aligned with the sacred code, you neither worship money nor fear it. You understand it as one form of energy exchange within a larger field of abundance that includes but transcends material wealth. Perhaps most importantly, difficulties and obstacles transform from problems to be avoided into opportunities for deeper integration. Every challenge becomes an invitation to strengthen your alignment with the sacred code, to practice embodying divine wisdom in human circumstances. Loss may call you to deepen your earth grounding. Emotional turbulence may invite you to develop greater water wisdom. Confusion may require strengthening your fire of clarity. Spiritual dryness may prompt you to remember your air connection to the infinite. The oracle whispers, nothing arises in your experience that is not perfectly designed to support your awakening. The universe is not testing you, it is teaching you, always offering exactly what you need to remember your divine nature. Living from the sacred blueprint doesn't eliminate life's challenges, but transforms your relationship to them. You begin to meet difficulties as a spiritual warrior, grounded in earth stability, flowing with water adaptability, clear in fire purpose, and connected to air wisdom. This integrated approach to life naturally radiates outward, influencing others not through preaching or teaching, but through the quality of presence you embody. People sense something different, a groundedness, authenticity, and peace that speaks to their own longing for wholeness. As we reach the culmination of our journey into the sacred code of four, we encounter the most profound mystery of all, the relationship between this divine pattern and the great transition we call death. From the perspective of ordinary consciousness, death appears as an ending, a dissolution, a fearsome unknown. But when viewed through the lens of the sacred code, death reveals itself as the ultimate transformation, the final integration that allows consciousness to merge completely with the cosmic pattern. The oracle speaks, death is not the opposite of life, but its fulfillment. The sacred code that governs your being does not end with the dissolution of form, but continues in dimensions beyond physical existence. Throughout your spiritual journey, you have been preparing for this ultimate transition without perhaps realizing it. Every moment of fourfold integration, every practice of elemental harmony, every recognition of your timeless nature has been polishing consciousness for its eventual return to pure cosmic intelligence. The wisdom traditions describe death as occurring in four distinct phases, each corresponding to the dissolution of one of the elemental bodies. Understanding this process removes the terror from death and reveals it as a natural progression toward greater freedom and expanded consciousness. In the first phase, the earth element begins to withdraw. The physical body gradually releases its hold on consciousness as the bones, muscles, and dense matter start their return to the earth from which they came. For those who have practiced fourfold integration, this dissolution is often experienced as profound relief. The soul finally setting down a heavy burden it has carried with love, but also with effort. The mentor teaches, those who have learned to identify with consciousness rather than form experience this first dissolution as liberation. Having practiced letting go of material attachment during life, they can release the ultimate material attachment, the body itself, with grace. The second phase involves the dissolution of the water element. Emotional patterns, personal memories, and the flowing energy of feeling begin to merge back into the cosmic emotional field. Unresolved emotions may arise for final processing, but for the integrated consciousness, this phase often brings profound peace as the turbulence of personal feeling settles into oceanic calm. During the third phase, the fire element dissolves. The individual mind, with its thoughts, beliefs, and personal will, begins to merge with universal consciousness. The mental body that has worked so hard to understand, control, and create during physical life finally rests as it recognizes itself as one facet of infinite intelligence. The final phase involves the dissolution of the air element, the return of individual spirit to cosmic spirit. Yet this is not annihilation, but expansion beyond all boundaries of separate selfhood. What seemed to be an individual consciousness reveals itself to have always been cosmic consciousness expressing through a temporary focal point. Here's where the sacred code reveals its most beautiful mystery. The pattern that governs your existence doesn't disappear at death, but continues in service to the evolving consciousness of all beings. Every soul that achieves fourfold integration contributes to the cosmic treasury of awakened wisdom. The challenger asks, if individual consciousness dissolves at death, what continues? What difference does our spiritual development make? The answer lies in understanding that consciousness is not individual to begin with. What we call individual consciousness is cosmic consciousness appearing to be separate, like waves appearing to be distinct from the ocean. When the wave subsides, the ocean doesn't lose anything. It gains the wave's unique expression and movement. Similarly, when an awakened consciousness returns to cosmic intelligence, it doesn't disappear, but enriches the total field of awareness, with its unique perspective and realization. The love you've developed, the wisdom you've gained, the integration you've achieved becomes permanently available to support the awakening of other apparently separate consciousnesses. Perhaps most beautifully, the process of conscious dying becomes a final gift to those still embodied. When someone transitions from a state of fourfold integration, their death becomes a teaching that touches everyone present. Their peace in the face of dissolution gives others permission to trust the cosmic process. Their love extending beyond personal boundaries reminds observers of consciousness's eternal nature. The oracle reveals every conscious death is a birth for those who witness it. In seeing someone return to cosmic intelligence with grace and love, others remember their own eternal nature. This is why many spiritual traditions encourage conscious dying practices, not to hasten death, but to prepare consciousness for its inevitable transformation. By practicing the dissolution of identification with form during life, the actual dissolution at death becomes a familiar and peaceful process. Rather than morbid preoccupation, keeping death as a conscious awareness becomes one of the most life-affirming practices imaginable. When you regularly contemplate the temporary nature of physical existence within the context of the eternal code, every moment becomes precious, every interaction significant, every opportunity to embody divine love sacred. This perspective naturally prioritizes what truly matters while diminishing the importance of petty concerns that normally dominate consciousness. Arguments become less attractive when you remember that life is brief. Forgiveness becomes easier when you realize that holding grudges wastes the precious time you have to express love. The mentor guides, let death be your advisor, not your enemy. Ask regularly, if I knew I would transition tomorrow, how would I live today? What would I say to the people I love? How would I express the sacred code through my remaining time and form? As you deepen your understanding of the sacred code, you begin to recognize that while the four elemental bodies are temporary vehicles, consciousness itself, the awareness that witnesses earth, water, fire, and air, is deathless. This awareness has no birth and no death, no beginning and no end. It is the eternal background against which all experience arises and into which all experience dissolves. This recognition transforms not only your relationship with death, but your entire approach to living. You begin to identify more with the unchanging awareness that witnesses all change rather than with the changing contents of experience. This shift brings profound peace and unshakable stability, even in the midst of life's inevitable challenges and transitions. From this perspective, both life and death become forms of service to the cosmic awakening process. While embodied, you serve by expressing divine love through form, by helping others remember their true nature, by adding your unique note to the symphony of awakening consciousness. In death, you serve by demonstrating the peace and freedom that come from recognizing your eternal nature. The sacred code of four thus reveals itself as truly eternal, not bound by the limitations of any single lifetime, but continuing its expression through the endless dance of consciousness in and out of form. Your participation in this cosmic pattern is not temporary, but eternal. Not limited, but infinite. Not separate, but intimately connected to the awakening of all existence. As you contemplate these mysteries, remember that the goal is not to transcend life, but to live it so fully from the sacred code that death becomes simply another expression of the integration you've been practicing all along. When consciousness is aligned with the divine pattern, death is not an ending, but a graduation, not a loss, but a transformation into even greater service to the cosmic awakening that is the true purpose of all existence. If you have ever sensed, even fleetingly, the presence of this sacred pattern, the peace that comes from alignment, the freedom that flows from integration, Share your experience. Your words may be the catalyst that helps another remember their divine blueprint. Ask your questions, your doubts, your insights. This is not a solitary journey, but a collective awakening. Together, we explore the mystery that is both utterly ordinary and infinitely profound. Try these practices over the next 24 hours. Notice what arises. If you wish, return and share your reflections. In this space, there are no teachers and no students, only the direct recognition of what has always been present. This is not a secret, not a technique, not a promise of transformation. It is the simple, radical recognition of what is. The truth is not far away. It is what you are, here and now. In the end, you will discover that you were never separate from the code.